Hey guys, it's FitandFlo here. In today's video, I'm super excited to be sharing with you guys this new ClickUp feature. It's called task type. If you use ClickUp already, you know that ClickUp is task heavy. So everything you do in ClickUp is essentially all about creating tasks as well as working on those tasks and completing those tasks. However, sometimes you just don't want to call them tasks. You want to call them something else. Sometimes people use ClickUp for other purposes besides just, managing projects. For instance, some people might use it as a CRM if they're in sales, as well as perhaps maybe an ATS if they're in recruitment. So it's just always not, as practical as you'd like it to be, calling the task that you do in those department tasks. So a quick example, looking at my dashboard, you can see that in the recruitment space, so these things here are called spaces. So as you can see in the recruitment space, if I go to the position that I'm hiring for, perhaps let's say I'm hiring for a registered nurse and I want to put a new applicant or a new candidate who just applied, to a role as a registered nurse, I have to add a task. So essentially what I'm doing here, I'm calling this new applicant a task, but I don't necessarily want to call them a task. I want to call them an applicant. So instead of having this saying add a task, you want it to say add an applicant. Same with if you're working in the marketing space or marketing department. For instance, if you're wanting to create content, for your social media platform, let's say you're trying to create content for Instagram. So you want this place here to say add content or add a new content instead of saying add a task, because when everything is just all about task, you don't even know what you're talking about. What area of your ClickUp are you referring to, when you say create a task. But if I say create a content on ClickUp, you know that this is going to be in the marketing space. And if I say that, okay, create a new applicant for a registered nurse role, you know that, okay, this is in the recruitment space. So it just makes everything flow seamlessly and easy to work with as well. So without wasting so much time, I'm going to show you guys how you can actually customize this task type here in ClickUp. So to do that here, you just need to go to your organization name here. So mine is called FitandFlo. So when you click down there, you would see your settings. And then once you're in your setting, you just need to go down and look for task type. Now click on that. And then once you're in the task type, you'll be able to see the task type that are default in ClickUp. So as you can see, the default in ClickUp is task. So every space that you create would have tasks. However, you can obviously customize them in here. As you can see as well, ClickUp does have the frequently used task type here. For this example, I'm probably going to add a task type called lead. Perhaps we might use this for our sales space or sales department. I might also perhaps use content for our marketing space, because in our marketing space, instead of saying create a new task, I wanted to say create a new content, right? So I'm going to add that. Now, if you can't see the task type that you want in here, you can also actually create your own task type. So to do that, all you have to do is just come over here and then create task type. So for this one here, I'm just going to create one called applicant. So you just have to put this singular name for it. And then you can also choose the plural. So if there's more than one applicant, we call them applicants. And then you can obviously have a description of what this task type is. So you can just say that these are new candidates, who applied for a role in our organization or something. Now, you can also obviously change the icon. For instance, if it's a person, then you probably put a little human here to show that this is an applicant. If it's something else, you obviously have to change it, but I like the default one here, which is a human being, because it kind of tells us that this is an applicant. We're talking about people here. We're not talking about tasks. We're actually talking about people. I'm also going to create another one called clients, because we're going to have clients in our sales department. So I'm going to do that. So you have to put this singular here. So client, and then here you put clients. You can also put a description if you would like. Again, I like the icon because it shows me that this is a client, this is a person, and I'm just going to create that. All right, so now that you've got your custom task type, To use them, you just have to go back to your workspace, and then you would go to the place where you'd want to add this custom task type. So going into our recruitment and the position that we're hiring in, I'll go to the registeredness position here. And let's say that I've got a new candidate who just applied to our role and they're called John. You can see that it says here task name. Now again, like we said, we don't want it to say task name. So to change this from task name, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the list, and then we're going to click these little 3 dots here, and then we need to click on here where it says default task type. Click on that, and then obviously change that from task to applicant. Okay, sometimes it takes a couple minutes to change. However, this one here actually just happened instantly. As you can see, instead of add task, it actually says add applicant, and then also you can see it up here as well. It just changed to add applicant as well, which is much more intuitive. So now if I want to add a new registeredness applicant, I'll just click on here because it's actually prompting me to add applicant, and it actually says applicant name. And then I also like that it actually comes with this little icon that we put here to show that this is actually a person. And then also here it actually says applicant name with a little person. So you can put a new applicant. Let's say we've got a new applicant called John, I don't know, Peters or something, and then you just have to add that there. The other thing as well is that on the list, instead of actually it being a list, it actually has a little person to show that this is actually a person, or at least it's a list of people, as in a list of applicant. Okay, now this is actually a paid feature if you want, I guess, more custom task type. However, I'm just going to cancel that out there. Now, if you're in the marketing space as well, again, let's say you want to create a new content for your Instagram platform. You don't want to say a new Instagram task. You want to say, okay, can you please add a new Instagram content? So you want to obviously change that. Now, to do that, again, you just have to go on these 3 little icons, go to default task type, and then change that to content. And as you can see, it automatically changed that to add content. So that's pretty much it for me today. That's what I wanted to show you guys in terms of creating your own custom task type. It just makes it easier and much more, I guess, intuitive to work with your teammates, because now you're using the language that you're accustomed to in your industry as well as in your department, which makes everything flawless and much more, I guess, fun to do. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys today, that you can actually customize the task type instead of having tasks everywhere, making everything really, fit well and obviously flow well in your system, Leslie. So without wasting so much time, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. And if you find this content helpful at all, please like and follow for more.